You and I.
Yeah, for now, welcome. We're on. We're live. It's just you and me. Yes.
Okay, great.
We are live. It is 30 with Justin and Karen. And today, just Justin so far. Karen may pop in as she goes along. We're all very busy this time of year, as you can imagine. Today, we have a really cool guest, someone I've known for quite a few years, someone I trust implicitly and rely on for my own home personal heating and cooling systems. Someone who has been a great resource for me for my clients over the years. He's my main man and the guy that tends to do a lot of our client stuff for us. This is Bob Belanger, and he is what would you call yourself? An HVAC professional, a heating and cooling specialist, someone like that. Oh, and guess what? Guess who has decided to arrive? But the woman herself, Karen Paul. There she is. So thank you for joining us, Karen, today. Well, she's not even on the screen yet, and she's got my name on there, which is hilarious too. So, Bob, this is a very professionally run segment, just so you know, Bob. So we
Yes.
we we do our best to keep it professional. But yeah, so Bob, how are you?
Fantastic.
Great.
Very
Let's
busy.
start with some simple stuff.
Justin, are you on now?
Yeah, we're live. You're late.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's all good. Just to get into it, let's start with some of the trends that I've been seeing lately. Because an integral part of a home nowadays, especially more than ever in our climate up here, is the heating and cooling system. And one of the trends I'm starting to see more often than not is a shift from your traditional, air conditioning and furnace unit, the way you would have known it, shifting towards more of a heat pump system. So, can we explain to the general public at this moment, and me, because I'm a little naive about this stuff, what a heat pump is and why we're shifting that direction at the moment?
Um, the reason for the shift is obviously climate change, global warming, emissions, which is a
Mm,
big one, carbon footprint, all tied together. Any combustion adds those gases to our atmosphere,
right.
which is bad in the long run. So what the government is trying to put into position is reducing your carbon footprint by putting in a heat pump in place of your gas furnace. Um, it has been a big trend over the last 5 years as the government was offering incentives and rebates for people to make the change. And that happened, and they exhausted the funds available. And I'm sure there will be more funds in the future to do that.
Mhm.
And what a heat pump does is it just uses electricity instead of natural gas to heat your home. So it's an air conditioner that operates as an air conditioner in the cooling season. And in the heating season, it does the same thing in reverse, where you're absorbing heat from the outside ambient air and putting it into your house. So it works just like an air conditioner, but opposite.
And do you have a furnace or a blower inside your house of some kind? Yes.
Yeah, there's multiple styles of heat pumps.
Right.
There's your standard air to air. You either have the high wall split type, which
Mhm.
is wall hung. You see the heads hanging on the walls, and then there's an outdoor unit that does the business end of giving it the heat or giving it the cool.
Mhm.
There is also a full ducted system that you can get for a traditional style home, where you use a regular air. Well, you use an electric furnace, for lack of a better term, or an air handler with a heat pump coil in it and a heat pump that will do the capacity of the house. And then in the depths of winter, when it's below minus 15 degrees outside, then the heat pump kicks off and the electric resistance heaters kick in to give you that heat in the depths of winter.
Yeah,
That's
I was
your
gonna say like it feels very much like a system whereby if you're using ambient air outside in minus 40-degree temperatures, it's not gonna work that well.
it won't have the capacity that it had at minus 15 or at
Right.
0 degrees.
Right.
So that's why you have electrical backup or some type of backup. Some systems use natural gas as backup for those times if you have natural gas available to your house. Some people who really want to get on board with reducing climate change will go to the electric furnace. So basically, no matter what, you're all electrically driven as opposed to any
And no
natural gas.
emissions. Mm.
Yeah,
That's
and
So
less.
interesting.
I I have a question.
Yeah,
Go for it.
So I was in a house the other day and it had a heat pump in the attic. So talk to me about those. with duct um, going out to each and every room, ductwork going out to each and every room.
Yes, if the attic has space to run the ductwork and put the unit up there, a lot of houses, they don't want to sacrifice living space to put a mechanical room in, especially older houses that might have had maybe only a crawl space basement. Um, they can utilize the attic space, which is basically wasted space, and away you go. Because a heat pump doesn't make water in the indoor section in the wintertime when it's giving you heat. So you don't have to
Right.
worry about drains freezing or anything like that in the attic. So it's very safe and effective.
Right. And
But
it's an
however,
effective, it's an effective way of almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Retrofitting a system in when you didn't have any kind of forced air system in the first place. Am I
well,
right?
so these,
Exactly.
so yeah, so they had, you see, they had baseboards,
Well,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. Yes, exactly.
so
Yeah.
so they want, and they didn't have air conditioning.
Mhm.
And so that's what, but the concern that I would have is that because of what you discussed earlier, the temperature outside, would it be would it not function after a certain amount of temperature if there was no kick in for another system?
Uh, yes. So in that instance where your clients had baseboards, probably electric baseboard heaters,
Mhm.
they've kept those as the emergency backup for the heat pump. So when the heat pump struggles in the middle of winter in February or March, when it's the coldest it's going to get, it struggles a bit with capacity. Then the electric baseboards will be left in as supplemental heat or what they call emergency heat.
So
So, but
why does it struggle with higher temperature, with lower temperature, sorry, with with minus 30 or minus whatever?
well, because if you look at it, it's trying to extract heat from the outside ambient air. If it's minus 40, there's
Yeah,
not as much heat outside, right? It's cooler to the human body. If it's zero, it's a lot more comfortable to the human body. When it's minus 40, it's not. The heat pump feels it the same. When it's minus 40, the heat pump just doesn't have the capacity because it can't extract enough heat out of the ambient air because it also has defrost cycles because the
mm,
outdoor unit is actually your evaporator, so it makes water. So then in the depths of winter, that unit will freeze up, coil will freeze over, and it has to go into a defrost. When it's in defrost, you don't get any heat into the house. The
Right.
colder
gotcha,
it gets, the colder it gets, the more defrost cycles it has to have to keep the coil clean.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this trend is heavily driven by, these rebates that the government, or these incentives the government was giving out. But I mean, there is still a good amount of people purchasing forced air gas furnaces and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. It's really a personal choice. The government
Mm,
has not mandated it as yet,
mm.
but it's a personal choice, and people who are more green thinking are really on board with it, and they
That's
go for the heat.
interesting. So to your point though, let's also just shed the negative connotation of it at this moment right here and go, you know what? It's funny because heat pumps I heard about years ago kind of disappeared for a while, and they were still there, but it wasn't a popular item. And now here we are back again with the heat pumps. I feel like that's the way it was. So let's remove that stigma and just go, yeah, like this thing is a new thing, not a new thing, but a thing that we've been working on that makes sense, that all the eco warriors are talking about. It's a good thing in a way, right?
Heat pumps were very prevalent back when air conditioning first became a thing in the
Right.
residential market back in the mid 60s.
Mm,
Most people back then that had air conditioning had a heat pump, and that's why they had air conditioning. Because a lot of people were still on electrical or oil,
mm,
and they wanted to get off of those things because delivery charges were going up, and there was environmental concerns. There was the energy crisis of the early 70s when
mm,
gasoline was, all of that came in, and heat pumps were great. Then in the 80s, when air conditioning became more of a essential rather than a luxury as it was pre 1980s,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
now every house has air conditioning. You cannot really live without air conditioning because of the change in environment.
I just want to say, let's just hammer that point home. There was a time when air conditioning wasn't a thing.
Yep,
We are living in very soft times.
we are.
Stop complaining about your freaking temperature outside.
Well, it's funny because you in the winter you cocoon yourself in the house because it's cold outside, right? Then in the summertime, you cocoon yourself
In the-
in the house
because it's hot
because
out.
it's so hot outside. I mean,
Exactly.
and that's
Yeah.
why, and interestingly, Justin, that's why a home is that are happy with is so very, very important because that cocooning has, sort of it occurs more and more and more now because of
Of
that
course.
and our environmental weather changing, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Now let's
I
talk
have
about
I
the average. Can I just mention the average cost of these things? Has
Yeah.
that changed much, or are they very similarly priced if you went gas, forced air, or heat pump? Like, what's the story with that?
They are more expensive than you would pay for a traditional furnace with just an add-on air conditioner, split system air conditioner. They are more expensive because the heat pump has more controls that you need to make it give you heat in the
Got it.
wintertime, defrost, all that stuff. Um, as well, it has higher end thermostats because you need more functionality out of the thermostat to control the heating, the cooling, and then the emergency heating when the heat pump will no
Yeah,
longer give you the capacity.
yeah, yeah. And but
so
the promise is more efficiency, essentially, right?
It is more efficiency. So when you look at fuels, just as a general thing, electric baseboard heaters are a 1-to-1. One part of energy in gives you one part of heat out.
Mhm.
A heat pump gives you one part energy in, four parts of heat out.
Oh, cool.
ah
A gas furnace gives you one part of energy in, 7 units of heat out.
Oh,
oh
okay.
So it's in the middle between electric baseboards and gas.
Right.
So
Interesting.
environmentally, it's right in the middle. It's the meat in the sandwich. But yeah, so
yeah. And so heat pumps, interestingly, in Europe, that's all they have because they don't have the central heat or the ductwork to put through because they usually had hot air rads or hot water rads. And so when you went traveling in Europe into a hotel, you knew that they didn't have air conditioning, so they would have a heat pump in the room.
Mhm.
yes. And one of the other reasons that they have heat pumps in Europe is because they don't have the reticulated gas service that we have, like we have here in North America,
Oh,
where where the big cities or the central locations, the urban centers are all underground gas, so there's already gas infrastructure there. Obviously, in
yeah.
Europe,
Never
very
thought of
mountainous,
that. Never thought
being
of that.
very mountainous, their choice would be propane, oil if they use it, but oil is a very dirty fuel and environmentally dangerous to have in transport or in storage at your house with a leaky oil tank, any of those things. It's a very big concern. So people are trying to get away from that.
That's really
So I
cool.
did. Sorry.
Go ahead. Keep going, Karen. It's all good. It is the Karen and Justin show, so we can both talk. Like, I mean, it's fine. Go ahead.
Anyway, I'll just another so we deal with a lot of country properties and it's oil or propane or electric. Some of them are electric. Very few are electric, eh,
Mm,
Justin?
mm.
But propane is huge now. And so what are your thoughts on propane and a furnace propane? And let's say you have a propane furnace that you want to put in. Can you do it as normal as a forced air gas?
Yes. If you already have the propane service to your house, flipping the furnace is no problems. All furnaces come from the manufacturer, set up for natural gas. And then we just buy a propane conversion kit from the manufacturer for that furnace, convert it to propane gas, and away you go.
And if you start anew,
If you're starting anew, then we basically set you up with a fuel company that will come to your house. They will put a concrete pad down, put the torpedo tube out there, and run the underground gas line up to the riser on the house. And then a contractor like myself would take it from there and put the furnace, hot water heater, any other appliances that they have on propane, fireplaces,
okay,
And,
I'm
and
going to
just for
shoot this.
people's information, I will say that typically the way the gas works is you pay a rental for the torpedo tube, as you call it, which is perfectly, I'd never even thought to call it that. That's exactly what it is. And you pay a rental for that, but typically they'll waive the rental if you're regularly buying the gas, I think is how that
Exactly. As long as you're buying the fuel from the company that supplies
yeah,
it, they'll either give it to you for free
yeah,
on like a 10-year contract that they're the fuel supplier for 10 years. So yeah, it's very cost effective for clients if they want to change over from electric baseboard or something, because if they don't have air conditioning in this day and age, it becomes very uncomfortable in the
it
summer.
does.
So a lot of
Yeah.
people are looking for that, and they're either going with a new propane furnace with a heat pump on it, which uh, kind of discounts the amount of propane that you'll have to use for
That's
the.
what I was going to
So
say. Yeah.
so Bob, so then you can do a heat pump.
Yeah.
My mind is going here. You can do a heat pump and then the propane furnace can kick in.
Yeah. Yeah.
As the emergency heat. So your heat pump is your first stage of heating. Your second stage of heating is propane furnace.
So that's
So
the minus 30, 40 day when you want to snuggle up and do nothing. Boom. You
Yep.
got the propane sitting out there and it's ready to go.
Especially in
so
rural properties, you might have a couple of propane fireplaces in the house as well to give you heat, more zone heating in the areas that you frequent more often. You know, the family room.
And the bonus of having propane on the property in those moments as well is when there's power outages, if you have a generator, you can fuel your
good
generator
point,
from that
Justin.
propane as well. Right. So there's like,
Fantastic
it's not
point.
a bad thing to have propane on your property. There's a lot of uses for it. I've seen people use it for fireplaces. Obviously the furnace, that people will use it as a line into their gas barbecues, all kinds of things. And so it's already there. You can use it as the backup for the heat pump, be environmentally as friendly as possible, and still have that backup there for the furnace when you need it.
Exactly, especially
Boom.
rurally, most people have outbuildings, right? So most people will have outbuildings on the rural properties,
Yep.
especially
Yep.
the expansive properties. They have pool heaters.
Mm-hmm.
Pool heaters, again, are typically gas
Yeah.
or propane. You can get heat pump pool heaters as well, which are more if they don't have access to propane or don't want to go that way. Plus, you've got in-floor heating for out in the main shop where they store their beautiful cars and motorcycles and all the toys, and they want it heated. So you put in a propane-fired water boiler, and then you've got heat out in the garage. Especially
Nice.
if there's outbuildings, a lot of them have the garage below with the apartment or something above with the relaxation
Yeah,
area,
that's right.
art studios.
So the next discussion would be solar panels. Are you knowledgeable about solar panels?
Yes, solar panels are great to offset your electrical cost, especially if you have a two-way meter that you can sell that any excess power back to the grid. There's also other things you can do with solar. Once the solar panels have developed the energy, you can do multiple things with it. You can preheat your hot water with that and
Mm.
save your costs on your heat pump or your propane because I mean, solar is making electricity. All you need is immersion heaters in your hot water
Yeah,
heater,
yeah.
and it will preheat it at least, even if it heated it up to 100 degrees, and your propane took it from 100 to 120. So it's
Mm.
yeah, effective that way as well. Not as prevalent here as you'd like to see. I think we could do a lot more with the solar, especially for people in rural areas with the property.
Mm. Mm.
You can pretty much run anything off of DC voltage, so it's a
Mm.
good power source,
Uh,
especially for emergency situations when there are power outages. If you had solar, you would still have lights on in the house without a
That's
need
great.
for a
Yeah,
generator.
perfect. I wonder also, so let's just have a really brief conversation about your background because you have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different things. And one of the things that impressed me about you when I first met you was, you've come from a background of doing this job in the most intense climates, I guess is the word I'm looking for, because you were in
Yes,
Australia for a time doing HVAC systems down there
yes,
and built quite a large company. And I imagine like the need for cooling systems, maybe heating systems as well, because like it's not, 4,000 degrees 365 down there. I mean, they still need a little bit of heat, but
yeah,
I mean, I imagine working in an environment like that where there's an extreme need for very well put together systems that are functional, that are reliable, I guess is the big thing.
yeah.
Um, brings a lot of knowledge into your mind and allows you to really experience things in a different way. So when you come here, you have different ways of doing things, different understanding of how things work. How has that
Different
played in?
temperatures, different temperature.
Yeah, totally.
Yes, absolutely. I started my career born and raised in Ontario and in Hamilton, and I started my career here, and then I moved from here to Bermuda, and I lived in Bermuda for years, where I married my wife, and I worked in the hotel industry for Fairmont Hotels while I was there, one mechanic, one hotel, so very busy.
Wow.
And then from there, we went to the Cayman Islands for a stint, and then we came back to Canada,
Oh,
and then we went to Australia, and we spent 8 years in Australia, and I
Bob
started a
is a
business
secret
there.
multimillionaire, just so you know. He's got all this
And
money in the Cayman Islands that nobody knows
well,
about.
when he made a stop in the Cayman Islands, that's the clue right there. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So
Fun.
yes, in what we were saying about environmental conditions, Australia was blazing hot. I
Mm,
mean, in the summertime, you could regularly expect 48 Celsius to 52 Celsius.
wow.
Like, and they don't even count the humidity like we do here,
I
where
was
it
gonna
says
say, is it dry heat?
51, but it feels like 40. When they say it's 48, it's 48, probably feels like 60.
Oh,
It's
Jesus.
ridiculous amount of heat. So your typical house in Australia, let's just look at a house here. 3,000 square foot house anywhere in Burlington, double story. It's going to have a 3-ton air conditioner in it.
Mm,
That same house, 3,000 square feet in Australia, will have 10 tons of air conditioning in it.
wow. Jesus.
So the difference is night and day.
Wow.
Um, and speaking of solar, Karen, Australia, every second house in Australia
Yeah,
has a solar array on the roof, and they use
yeah.
it for preheating their hot water, for offsetting their electrical charges from the suppliers, and obviously to save money overall. Because power there is very expensive, 48 cents a kilowatt hour, where we pay 10. And
Wow.
we complain about the 10. So you can imagine if the power was 5 times as much and you had 3 times the amount of air conditioning to run.
I also
So
remember you mentioning that they use a lot of high velocity systems there as opposed to the sort of slow forced air units that we use here.
we did, and we still do. We sell the most high velocity outside of Canada in the world, I believe.
Yes.
So we do many systems, and your typical Australian house, instead of a house in Canada having one furnace and one air conditioner, in Australia you'd probably have 3 air handlers with 3 heat pumps attached to that, because
Right.
Australia is the perfect place for heat pumps. Need the air conditioning in the summertime, and in
A
places
little
like
bit of
Sydney
heat.
and Melbourne, you still go down to 2 or 3 degrees Celsius in the wintertime.
Mm.
Overnight, you can have frost on your windshield, which is most people don't think you'd have frost in Australia. And most people don't realize they have ski hills there either. So, so yeah, it's very prevalent down there for heat pumps. So, like I say, they really harness technology down there because it is a harsh environment to operate
Well,
in.
it forces you to evolve, right? And they have to
Yes,
do something. And so, you can't keep using a system that is antiquated and costing people too much money. They have to evolve into whatever makes sense for the general public to be comfortable.
Well,
exactly.
and I
So
think, and this is where I think the Canadians are scratching their head right now because of the change of weather and how hot it gets in the summertime and how cold it gets in the winter. Because, in when I'm in Quebec, it's -30 sometimes and -40. And so you have to look at your budget because your electrical bill can be, if you're on baseboards, your electrical bill can be $2,000 for 2 months. And it's not the way to go because obviously the Australians know exactly how to handle that situation, right?
yes,
And so they would put in a system that is conducive to that situation, or they would think about it and they'd say, okay, let's do this. And they evolve, right? Where
and
here I find they're slower to evolve, right?
it's because here we have the reticulated gas system.
Mm.
In Quebec, again, very mountainous, very sparsely populated, it's very spread out, a lot of small towns and villages, and they just don't have the access to the natural gas. So most of the heat in Quebec, New Brunswick, is electric baseboard with heat pumps, because the heat pumps are there to offset the amount of electricity they have to use at a 1-to-1 ratio, where a heat pump gives a 1-to-4 ratio. So you're actually cutting your power bill by 4.
I really
And you
like
can,
that. That's a really cool analogy for
Analogy.
it. I didn't
Yeah.
realize like that's the case. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Bob. I mean, growing up as a kid, was it like, hey, I like working with mechanical things and I'm going to be an HVAC guy? Like, what was it that started you down the path? I'm just curious because I always ask these questions of the people we have on. So we really get a sense of like where they've come from to get where they are. I would
Yep.
suggest that you have put your 10,000 hours in. You are a pro at this. You are probably the most knowledgeable person I've come across in my time in this industry. And I spent a year in the HVAC industry and I've never seen anybody like you, actually, quite frankly. I think we in the same company for that year? I think I can't remember.
possibly,
Yeah,
yes.
and so at the end of the day, like, I just find you to be so like good at it, like, and finding solutions for people that make sense. What is it that drew you to this industry as opposed to, I don't know, whatever else you could have done with your life?
Well, Justin, to explain it simply to you, look in the mirror because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Ah,
You do real estate because your mom and dad did real estate. That might be the reason you went into real estate. My
yeah.
dad was a refrigeration mechanic.
Oh,
My
that's
brother-in-law,
cool.
Ah,
my brother-in-law is a refrigeration mechanic. My uncle is a refrigeration mechanic.
Oh,
So,
that's cool.
so again, I was putting in air conditioners when I was 12 and 13 years old for my dad's business. When you're big enough to carry the toolboxes, that's when he started learning about air conditioning.
Oh,
So
that's so cool. I like
all
that.
I've ever done. And I've been licensed now for 37 years. So yeah, it's been very, very good to me. And it's been very good for my clients as well. So it's one
What
of
are
those
the
fields that
biggest,
it
go ahead.
it never stops changing.
Right. That's what I was just going to say. What are the biggest changes that you've seen that are from then to now, like that you are seeing right now?
You know how fashion goes retro, right?
Yeah.
They had bell bottoms in the 70s and they were back out in the 2000s. Same with this. Heat pumps were in and that was the thing. Then they got away from it with just furnaces, gas furnaces with a split system air conditioner on it. And now we're going right back to the heat pumps. So
Mm,
again, it's just cyclical. The technology hasn't changed for since they invented it. So the technology itself hasn't changed. All they've done is make it more as efficient as they possibly can and minimize the amount of electricity that it actually uses to give you the same amount of energy.
that's cool. I want to
Yeah,
bust open one other thing before we finish up here because we're running up against the time.
yeah,
Back when I spent that year selling furnaces and air conditioning, which was fun, it was cool.
yeah,
It was an interesting learning experience for me. It also helped me in my real estate career because I got to understand those systems much better than I had before. I knew them before, which was really interesting.
yeah.
But one of the things that kind of became or that came out of that experience back then was I learned about the manufacturing of these things. And
Yes.
everyone's caught up a lot of times on the brand names of these things like York or,
Lennox.
Carrier,
Coleman or
Lennox.
Lennox or whatever. What, what, there's like 5 or 6 companies that manufacture every single furnace in the world, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so, like, the reality of each system side by side, if you're getting this brand versus that brand, this, what are the differentiations and what do you look to give your high end clients a more high level experience versus, the average client a more average experience that's more affordable? Like, how are their differentiations and why do people get so hung up on, oh, I really want a York because I've heard good things or whatever?
They probably at the end of it all, the money probably all the HVAC money in the world probably goes back into 2 or 3 pockets.
Right.
That's it. York is
Mostly
York is not
Chinese.
York is not even York anymore. York is now Johnson Controls, has been for
Right.
10 years. So, it just companies get bought and sold. There's so many, but if you look at the core of it, there's only so many motor manufacturers in the world. So when you buy an air conditioner,
Ah,
whether it be a York, a Carrier, a Lennox, a Keeprite, a whatever you put Goodman, whatever you put in, they had to buy that motor from again one of 3 companies.
Right.
The coils that go into it, into an air conditioner, again, they all come out of the same factories. Like they don't get them. Not every manufacturer builds their own evaporator coils, their own this. Some do, some don't. Some use aftermarket places that it's just easier because they're
Mm,
more standardized for the market. So they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's only 2 compressor manufacturers in the world, Tecumseh and Copeland. So you're getting one of either of those in a unit.
isn't that
Obviously,
interesting?
we're getting more Asian equipment in these days, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. So some of those, there are seeing some new technologies in there, different compressor manufacturers, because they're made in-house in China or in Japan or whatever. But all in all, the technology itself hasn't changed. Doesn't matter whether you have a dehumidifier in your living room or a 10,000-ton chiller on your roof, it's the same process. It's just bigger. So they may paint the
Interesting.
cabinets.
So
a
what are the
different
upsells for people at this point? Like you're looking at humidification or dehumidification, I suppose, and
Yeah.
and air filtration. Are those the major upsells at this point?
Air filtration is a major upsell since COVID came in. There's a
Mhm.
lot of UV systems being sold into the market,
Mhm.
which is a good thing. I mean, obviously, I don't have any kids, or we don't have any kids, but Justin, you have kids. When they go to school, they're basically in a petri dish. Whatever that's going around the
Yeah.
school,
Oh, I
they're
know.
bringing,
That's
We're
right.
sick
they're
every
bringing
two
it home.
weeks. Oh,
They're bringing it home to you guys. So if you had hospital grade filtration in your house, then
He's a man of reason, Justin. He's a
I
man
get
of
it.
reason.
He's
I mean,
selling me right now.
reality.
He's going to be over here next week.
like for my clients, for
And
the
when you
upsells,
were talking when you were talking about the motors and it's like the car batteries, right? And
yeah,
it's the same thing. It's okay, which electric car is better than the other? Well, wait a minute. It's you only get batteries for so many, there's only few electric battery producers. So
Producers. Yeah.
it's just
that's it. They're probably all coming out of the same factory, kind of like no-name foods, no-name brand foods. It's coming out of the same factory that's, I don't know, making Chips Ahoy or whatever, but it's coming off of the same line.
and
They just put
the
it in a different
funniest part
box.
is I found that out about dog food.
Oh, of
I was
course.
at my vet's and it was the funniest thing because I said a typical question, right? So what's the best dog food for my dog, right? And he said to me, well, it's manufactured over there in Cambridge and it all comes out the same. So he said it goes into different different bag
Eggs.
names.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there you
Yeah,
go. And I looked at him and I said,
yeah. When you look at kibble A and kibble B, they're the same. They came
Yeah.
out of the same die,
Yeah.
printed the
Yeah.
kibble. So yeah,
So the air filtration has become a pretty big thing since COVID, though, for sure.
it has been. Most of my clients ask me about filtration, and I usually go with the hospital grade filtration that can bolt onto any system.
Mm.
wow.
And it
It's
and
good.
it,
It's
it
actually really cool that we can get that level of filtration in the general public's hands nowadays. I'm sure there was a time when it wasn't economically feasible to even try to do that.
it wasn't, because there wasn't enough demand for it. But as
Demand
soon
for
as
it. Yeah.
COVID hit, everybody was like, I want fresh air. And even on the other end of it, on the doctor's offices and the hospitals and the dentist's office, all the places where you had intimate contact with patients who are coming in because they're already sick. Well, not very good for a doctor's office if sick people are coming in, then all your staff are getting sick and the doctor. And so we put a lot of portable hospital grade filters into doctor and dentist waiting rooms, so that the air in the waiting room is constantly being purified.
Mm.
So
Mm.
That's really
it's
cool.
very handy in this day and
That's very
age.
cool. Well,
Okay.
this has been an incredibly knowledgeable interview again. We tend to do that. I like it. I'm going to toot our own horns a couple times here. But Bob is awesome. And so if you have any questions, if you're in need or if you have an emergency, we're going to put Bob's information below in the chat. Make sure you can reach out to him. He is our recommended service. I mean, at the end of the day, the first call I typically make is Bob. And the only reason I haven't used him in the past is he's so busy. He sometimes can't come out to our people because he just is that good that he's trying to retire is what I'm understanding, but he just
No,
can't.
no. He takes
So
good holidays though.
yeah, no, yeah, for sure. But I think that I appreciate you coming on, Bob. You're great. You have so much knowledge and so much history in the industry that you can't deny that you're really good at what you do. Let's be honest. And so we thank you for coming on and answering our dumb questions as laymen in this world. And we'll make
Very
sure
much
people can
appreciative
reach out to you.
to have been a part of your show today,
Yeah.
and thank you for having me on. And God bless.
Talk to you soon, everybody. Have a good one.